So back in the conference room, Una has the computer narrow the search parameters to Illyrian genetic modifications. The computer warns that they were classified, but Una overrides. Then narrows the parameters further to modifications relating to disease control, which are again classified, and she overrides that. She sees a child patient in the records showing the same red glow to her skin that Una had experienced alone in her quarters. Just then, the computer alerts her to a blackout override in the transporter room. With the added danger of the critical circuit overload, Una calls down the transporter room but receives no response, and so goes down there herself. Himmer's at the controls, having transported a piece of the planet's mantle. He's got the same symptoms, saying he wants to feel the radiance on his skin. Una sees a phaser on the console and warns that the temperature was more than 1,000 degrees. Himmer gleefully replies it was closer to 10,000 and has almost stabilized the signal. As he approaches it, Una grabs the phaser and stuns him before reversing the beam. Now, here's the thing that caught me off guard. She basically just cleans and jerks his ass right up off the floor and onto her shoulder.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's extremis.
Yeah. Just, I mean, you know, and I realized they wanted to do it in a way where you went like, oh, holy smokes, she's really strong, you know. But when you see her just reach down, grab him, and basically just lift him right up on the shoulder and walk out like she's not carrying anything.
Yep.
So now we know that, you know, that I was probably wrong about Leanne and her secret genetic modifications, because they wouldn't do that twice.
Yeah, so what are you thinking, that La'an is not modified, but Una is?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too, especially when they go at it later.
Because they're not going to give us two people in that situation. I thought it was interesting, much like the dummy Kirk. They make you think you know exactly what's coming, right? And then they swerve you a little bit. They put a Noonien Singh on the ship, so we're already thinking, eugenics. And we're right, but not about her.
Well, to be fair, it's not exactly eugenics. They weren't breeding negative, quote-unquote, traits out. They were actively changing their DNA.
Which I think Star Trek has lost track of the difference.
Well, they seem to know the difference here.
Well, except that they keep saying that the people who fought the eugenics war were genetically altered.
They were.
They were bred to be like they were. That was the original idea. Now it's been turned over the years into genetic modification, but that's not eugenics.
So if you kind of remember what they said about it in the Space Seed, obviously selective breeding was a part of it, but they still did also do genetic engineering because Khan was strong as shit too.
Oh, back then he was just like twice as strong.
Yeah, but still, though.
Yeah, they talked about like how much blood his heart could pump and all these things, that he could lift a grown man with one hand. He wasn't Captain America yet. Una enters sickbay with Hemmer over her shoulder and tells him Binga and Chapel to sedate him before he recovers from the stun. And Binga reports that he will have to be next. So you're right, he was got the sun monkey too, you know, chasing the shiny dragon. His vitamin levels are also dropping, and now only he and Chapel were left. Una asks about the blood sample M'Benga took earlier, before finally admitting that she was immune to the illness because she was Illyrian. Okay, so I, of course, was a little shocked. Now, we talked about this a little bit, that Una in the novels, in the beta canon, was sometimes rumored to be non-human or, I believe, like machine augmented and other things. So I had always just assumed that she was human, and that's not the case.
Nope. I don't know, man. This revelation, like we were saying earlier, having La'an on the ship makes you think it's her, but I don't know. It seemed a little underhanded. The revelation of fake Kirk, it was kind of like, aha, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
But this one, it felt like...
Well, there was no reason to suspect it at all until she gorilla pressed the hammer over her head. That was the only cue I saw to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put it all together until Act 4 here. But I'm slow like that, so...
Well, yeah.
And it had to be explained to me, so...
Yeah, we can't all guess the whole way, right?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even part of my thought process, because I was like, oh, they're talking about genetic modifications, got to be Lan. I wasn't even looking for it to be anybody else. I just assumed the stuff happening with Una was just a result of the issues. Now, I did question, like, how are you just loading up Hemmer? Like, he's just a sack of potatoes.
Very light potatoes.
Like it's hardly nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, as soon as that happened, I was like, I kind of had it there, but when she first lifted him, I was like, holy smokes, what did we miss about her?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, okay, I guess she's Captain America.
Yep. So, Mbinga and Chapel are adamant that even with that knowledge, they cannot use her blood to help. Going into his office, while Chapel attends the awakening patients, Mbinga explains that there were no novel antibodies in Una's blood.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they can't use it, because even Chapel says, like, look, man, if we could use it, I wouldn't care at all what Federation had to say. I'm out here trying to save people, but your blood has nothing in it that we can use.
There's nothing there. Her system did not attack the infection, but literally burnt it out, which is why she was glowing.
Extremis.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which meant that they had nothing to work with anyways. If he'd been present at the moment of her infection, he could have, but now there's no other option. And it tells him he was a Starfleet doctor and could figure out a way. And Mbinga sees she places a lot of faith in Starfleet, and Una admits that they were right about a lot of things, but not all of them. And Mbinga understands that the prejudice has kept people from helping each other for centuries with no scientific justification, and even after meeting their neighbors in the stars, they found new bigotries. First about mixing human and Vulcan blood, and now human and Illyrian. To Mbinga, that did not matter, as he was a physician. He would beg her to help if she could, regulations be damned. But he knows she can't.